Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me again. Today I want to show you a whiskey that on the one hand I don't think you could ever call a commercial whiskey. On the other hand, it is available in a lot of stores, and from this perspective I think it definitely stands out among the others you can find there. On the other hand, I also think that this is a single malt whiskey that rightfully ranks among the most famous single malts in the world. First, take a look at the box of this edition. It's absolutely stunning, in my opinion. The design is just fantastic. I think it's very important, or rather, I really appreciate it when, from time to time, a traditional, and please understand what I mean, a commercial whiskey can also be elevated with a box like this. The way this box looks is simply spectacular. I also really like the kind of glass that comes with it. Naturally, this is part of a series in which the whiskey from the core range, in this case the Glenfiddich core range, is characterized by the 12-year-old bottling, meaning that's what they put in, but there is also a 15-year-old and an 18 to 21-year-old edition connected to it. Right now I have the 12-year-old, which I thought I'd share with you and taste as well. Speaking a bit about the distillery, I've already visited Glenfiddich, and just a few weeks ago I had the pleasure of presenting, thanks to an invitation from Mr. Alcohol, the 50-year-old Glenfiddich. Well, that's a huge age difference compared to this one. But the kind of care and precision that you experience with such an old spirit is of course present here as well, without any compromise. Glenfiddich, the distillery, was founded in 1883, and the name Glenfiddich itself means Valley of the Deer, which actually refers to the village in the Scottish Highlands where the distillery itself can be found. There are several interesting facts connected to it. One of them is that this is one of the most well-known single malt whiskies in the world, which I think is an absolutely incredible achievement. So if you mention Glenfiddich 12 somewhere, it's recognized in many places, or in fact all over the world. And there's another thing connected to Glenfiddich and this bottle, namely that in 1963 this was the first single malt to be exported from Scotland to various parts of the world. Essentially, this started the spread and presentation of Scottish single malt whiskey culture. It spread. So I think that's a really, really big deal. Glenfiddich is privately owned, basically by the same family that originally established the distillery. About the 12, or about this bottle, I'd also like to mention, first, I want to refer back to when you see the 50-year-old. I talked there about these triangles and, of course, Glenfiddich. This triad of Glenfiddich is extremely important. You might remember back then it was temperature, air pressure, and humidity. That was the trio. And I just want to point out that this bottle also has this kind of triangular shape, which continues that same way of thinking. The 12-year-old expression is the first release in Glenfiddich series, so it's made with an age statement. They typically make whiskies with age statements, although there are also some without. But among the age-stated whiskies, the youngest is the 12, which means that it contains at least 12-year-old single malts. It underwent two types of cask maturation. One is an oak cask and the other is a Spanish sherry cask. And as defined by whiskey law, they set it to the right proof. I really like the new bottle as well. I have to say they've added an engraving and a design that to me makes it look more like a premium bottle compared to Glenfiddich's previous appearance. That was a simple round bottle which also looked very nice, but I think this one is more elegant. And not only more elegant, but it practically conveys a greater sense of value, or, let's examine its unique characteristics. Naturally, the iconic Glenfiddich stag appears prominently, and this majestic stag is also featured beautifully on the cap. Maybe you remember that with the rare 50-year-old expression, I mentioned that it was carefully milled from solid aluminum, but even there, the classic Glenfiddich emblem was intricately engraved into it. So what exactly can this exceptional drink do? Oh, and I must say, I really like it quite a lot. By the way, I really like that on the back here on the glass, the 4 centiliter marking appears. I just poured exactly 4 centiliters into it. On the other side, it reaches up to the bottom of the stag. If you look, it's right up to the bottom of the stag. And actually, if I look at this as an outside observer, I'd say, well, that's really something that you poured out the whole thing. But in reality, we're talking about 4 centiliters, which I think is not such a terribly huge amount. The color doesn't really reveal all that much. I don't think it has as strong a color as it could have, but that could simply be because the barrel wasn't charred that deeply. So even though it's a 12-year-old spirit, it could have had a stronger color. But the color on its own, in my opinion, doesn't really bring that much. I'll put it here. This box as well, it is just truly amazing. Just take a moment to look at its stunning visual appearance, the lush plants, and this unique combination of futuristic flora and vibrant animal life. It is absolutely incredible to behold. In its complex aroma, I mostly sense crisp apple, sweet pear, and these refreshing fruits, which really suit its character exceptionally well. Regarding the specific qualities of this particular drink, I truly believe it is an absolutely likable, incredibly pleasant, and thoroughly enjoyable beverage that just about anyone would find easy to consume. Oh, it really is remarkably delicious. It feels exactly as if I have just placed a rich, moist piece of gourmet cake directly into my mouth. While it is true that the drink is a little bit alcoholic in its composition, the overwhelming sensation is that it tastes just like a freshly baked sweet dessert cake. In my mouth, it's full of these nice fresh fruits, apple, pear, maybe even a hint of raisin. But to me, it really reminds me of an apple pie or maybe a pear tart. These combinations are really great. It's full of freshness and liveliness. Let me say again, considering that we're talking about 12-year-old bottling, whatever, I could certainly think of many more intense and robust flavor profiles in connection with this. But its exceptional freshness and vibrant liveliness are really quite great. What would I recommend pairing this drink with? I think, since it is not at all intrusive and doesn't have a particularly long or lingering finish, I would say it could practically go with virtually any course throughout the entirety of a meal. So it would work perfectly even as a light appetizer. Whether it's with a main course, a dessert, a good cigar, a great conversation, a birthday, or a name day. So I can really imagine this drink fitting with so many occasions. This is a particularly good drink, a particularly good single malt, and I think it's the kind of drink whose appearance, taste, aroma, or even its story, what's inside is really spot on. So if you have the chance, try some whiskey today as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and cheers.